Hello beautiful booktubing people! Welcome back to my channel and my first monthly wrap up and to be read for the next month video. This month was a very stressful month and I needed the escapism, so I think I actually beat my personal best for amount of books read in 1 month. This month I read 10 books! 10 and a half books! Reading hangover, serious reading hangover, friends. So the first book I read this month was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I loved it so much. I did a book talk on it already, so you can go and watch that if you want to find out more about it. It's high fantasy, sort of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and quite gripping, so recommend that one. After that I read the sequel to A Court of Thorns and Roses because it's just come out, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. And oh my goodness, this book. I also did a book talk on this book. It's like 16 minutes long because I just had so much to say. It's currently my favourite book of all time. It's quite epic, so much happens, great character development, great action scenes, the character dynamics are amazing. It's just, incredible. Everyone go and read this book. So the next book I read was The Square Root of Summer by Harriet Reuter Hapgood. I'd actually seen this book around but hadn't purchased it because I thought it looked a little bit girly and I didn't think I'd really enjoy it. But then I went to a young adult fiction event in Brighton and I met the author. She's actually signed my copy. She said, "To Rachel, the universe is complicated. Love, Harriet," and gave me some stickers. 2 more books that I read this month in preparation to make a recommended beachy summer video for you were We Were Liars by E. Lockhart and Ocean Sea by Alessandro Braccio. I'll talk more about those in a different video, but they're in this one because I did read them in the month of June. The next book I read in the month of June was The Reader on the 627. This book is like a love letter to literature, and if I had to sum up this book in one word, it would probably be quirky. Another book I read this month was The Improbability of Love by Hannah Rothschild. This is another book that I almost didn't buy because I thought it looked like chick lit, like a romance novel, so I just walked straight past it even though it was being quite publicised in bookstores. When I went to the checkout to buy a book about art and just some general fiction, the guy recommended this book to me. He said, "Don't let the title or the cover put you off. The Improbability of Love is a painting in the book and it's about the cutthroat London art world." In terms of modern classics for this month, the first one I read was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I feel like this is one of those books that everybody reads at some point in their life, but also one of those books where people say, "Oh, have you read it?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'll get around to it eventually," and you never do. So I just decided to read it just to join the bandwagon. The next modern classic I read is by an author that I hadn't really heard of, but she was actually a pioneer of writing about female sexuality from a female perspective, and that's Anaïs Nin. This is Delta of Venus, which is her first collection of stories. She has another one called Little Birds. I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but she discusses sexuality for everything from passionate love to incest and paedophilia. It's very interesting, not for the faint-hearted, but if you're willing to be shocked a little bit, then I'd recommend Anaïs Nin. I do try to read a classic a month just to keep my brain working, and this month I turned to one of my favourite genres, which is 19th century French literature, and I read Nana by Émile Zola. I read this in the English translation because my French is absolutely appalling and I would not have been able to read it in the original language. That being said, the language in this is just beautiful. The way he describes things, even in translation, you can see that he's an amazing writer. I just love Zola. So I only read 1 non-fiction book this month. I have a habit of becoming completely obsessed with fiction and forgetting to read a little bit outside of that. But I do think it's good every now and then just to shake up your reading habits to read a little bit of non-fiction. So this month I read The Last Act of Love. I really enjoyed this because it's sort of read like fiction, even though it's memoir or factual. I'd recommend this if you're interested in ethical debates and that blurred line between what is right and wrong. It was really, really good. So the last book I read in the month of June, I'm actually still in the process of reading this book, was The Little Red Chairs by Edna O'Brien. So maybe I'll mention in my next video when I finish this book if I actually liked it by the end, but right now I wouldn't really recommend it that much. So that's everything that I read in the month of June. I have a few things planned to read next month. I don't know if I'll get through all of them, but this is sort of what will be going on my channel next month. Due to my recent discovery of Sarah J Maas and the fact that she has now written my favourite book of all time, A Court of Mist and Fury, I would like to jump on the excitement for her other series, which is the Throne of Glass series. Everyone on BookTube seems to have read except me, so I really want to get excited for everybody because the next instalment's coming out in September and I need to catch up. So I am going on a Sarah J Maas marathon. I'm going to try and read every single book in the series so far this month. So Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and The Assassin's Blade, which is a prequel to the series that was written, I think it was after Queen of Shadows or just before. If you have read the series, then you'll probably be laughing at me after I read the first one, like, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and then you'll be sat there behind your screen like, no, Rachel, that's not going to happen, wait until you read the next book. In terms of modern classics, if I get around to it, I'm going to be reading Bonjour Tristesse by François Séguin. This might be slightly ambitious because I am going to read the entire Throne of Glass series, hopefully this month, but I do want to get stuck into a big classic in the summer because that's sort of my tradition. I usually read one massive classic in the summer. I did Anna Karenina by Tolstoy last year, and this summer I'd like to do Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. It's quite the hefty novel, friends. It's 1,231 pages. So I might just read this for the rest of the year and have an incredibly boring BookTube channel. Then in the completely fortuitous situation where I finish the entire Throne of Glass series and Bonjour Tristesse and Les Miserables, then I'd like to read a little bit of non-fiction. I haven't read any science for a while, so I'd like to read A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. So that's everything I read this month and what I'm hoping to read next month. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much again to all the lovely people who have commented and subscribed. I hope you're enjoying all the videos I'm posting at the moment. You lovely bookworms in my next one. Bye!